Good morning, everyone. My name is Carmen Ning. And have you ever arrived at university on time only to spend the next 10 or 15 minutes looking for a parking space? You drive into one parking area and it's full, you try another and it's full too, and you keep driving around hoping that someone will leave eventually. And by the time you finally found a parking spot, you're already late for class, stressed, and tired. This is the problem that inspired our project, QIU Smart Parking. Our idea is simple. Instead of making people search for parking, we make parking information come to the people. So let me ask you to imagine a situation. It's 8:30 in the morning, you have class starting at 9, and you arrive on campus, you enter the parking area, and you see cars everywhere, but you don't know which spaces are available. You drive around, you check another parking area, and you drive back again. Every minute you spend searching is another minute closer to being late. And this is not only frustrating for the driver, it also creates more traffic, wastes fuel, increases unnecessary emissions, and causes stress. So we asked ourselves, what if you can know where the available parking spaces were before you even started searching? The question has become the main starting point of our project. At QIU, parking becomes particularly challenging, especially during peak periods. The two major periods identified in our case study are 8 to 10 a.m. in the morning and 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. in the afternoon. During these periods, students and staff may struggle to find available parking. The result is more than just an inconvenience. People spend more time driving around campus, which creates congestion and also wastes fuel. It can also increase harmful gas emissions at the same time. And perhaps most importantly for students and staff, it can cause stress because they are worried about arriving late. So the problem we wanted to solve was not simply a lack of parking spaces. It was the lack of available information about these parking spaces. When we looked at the problem from the user's perspective, we realized that different people experience the same problem but in different ways. So, as an example, for students, finding parking can mean rushing to class or arriving late, which will create a stressful situation for them. For lecturers and staff, it can interfere with their working schedule. And lastly, for the university, repeated congestion and manual parking monitoring will create additional operational challenges. But underneath all these problems is one common need. Users want to know, where can I park right now? They don't necessarily need any complicated technology, they just need accurate information at the right time. That became an important part of our design thinking process. So we reframed the problem. Instead of asking, how can we create more parking spaces? We asked, how can we help users find available parking spaces faster? Our proposed solution is to provide parking availability information in real time through a mobile application. If users can see which areas have available spaces before they drive around, they can make a decision earlier. They can choose where to go instead of searching randomly, and this can reduce searching time, congestion, fuel consumption, and stress. However, when we look deeper into the technology, we discovered another problem. And this was where the trees matrix became important. Imagine that we want our app to provide extremely fast and accurate parking information. The obvious solution would be to collect and update data more frequently. But there's a catch. The more frequently we collect and transmit data, the more sensors, communication, processing, and server resources we need. That means greater system complexity. It can also increase energy consumption and operational costs. So we had a contradiction. We want faster and more accurate parking information, but improving the speed can make the system more complex and expensive. In Tree's terms, we wanted to improve parameter 9, which is speed, while avoiding the worsening of parameter 36, device complexity. So instead of accepting this contradiction, we used trees to find ways to overcome it. So using the trees contradiction matrix, our team identified four inventive principles. The first is principle 10, preliminary action. The second is principle 28, mechanic substitution. And the third is principle 4, asymmetry. And lastly is principle 34, discarding and recovering. Each principle gives us a different way to solve part of this contradiction. Instead of simply collecting more and more data continuously, we make the system smarter about when, where, and how the information is collected and delivered to users. This allows us to improve the user experience without simply increasing system resources. So now let's look at these four principles more closely. First, preliminary action. Instead of waiting until users request information, the system can actually analyze previous parking patterns and predict periods of high demand. Frequently requested information can also be temporarily stored in a cache. This means that information can be prepared before users even need it. Second, mechanic substitution. Instead of relying completely on security staff to manually monitor parking spaces, we propose using IoT sensors and AI powered cameras to automatically detect whether spaces are occupied or vacant. Third, asymmetry. Not every parking area needs to be updated at exactly the same frequency. Busy parking zones can receive more frequent updates, while low demand areas can be updated less frequently. Finally, discarding and recovering. When parking information becomes outdated, the system removes it and replaces it with newly collected information. This will prevent users from relying on old information. Together, these four principles make the system smarter rather than simply making it more powerful. This brings us to our main idea, QIU smart parking. The concept is to connect parking spaces, smart sensors, data processing, and a mobile application into one system. The user does not need to understand what happens behind the scenes. They simply open the app and check the available parking. Behind that simple experience, IoT sensors and AI cameras detect parking occupancy. The system processes the information, and important information can be cached, outdated information is removed, and the app delivers the irrelevant information to the user. So our goal is see, decide, and park. Our solution is not only a theoretical system, we also considered how users would actually interact with the application. The main goal of the interface that we've created a prototype for is simplicity. When users open the app, they should be immediately be able to understand the parking situation. So for the example, the app can actually provide a parking map showing different parking zones and their availability, and users can easily identify which areas have available spaces and choose where they want to go based on the color codes of the parking areas. So for example, red is for full, yellow is for limited, and green is for available. The important design principle here is that users should not have to search through complicated menus just to answer one simple question: where can I park? The technology should be complicated behind the scenes so that the user experience can remain simple in front of the screen. During the development of our concept, one important lesson became clear. Having real time information is not enough. The information also needs to be fast, accurate, and understandable. For an example, imagine the app tells the user that a parking area has an available space, but by the time the user reaches the area, the space is already occupied. The technology would technically be working, but the user experience would still be poor. That is why our proposed system focuses on automatically replacing outdated information and adjusting update frequencies based on demand. At the same time, there are still areas that would require further testing. For example, the actual accuracy of the sensors and cameras would need to be tested during real peak hours in the parking areas. Network reliability would also need to be evaluated. So our prototype helped us understand that smart parking is not simply about collecting data, it is also about delivering the right information all at the same time. Now let's think about what happens if we successfully solve this problem. For students and staff, the most immediate benefit is time. Instead of driving around looking for parking, they can make a decision before even entering a congested parking area. This can reduce stress and improve punctuality. For the university, the system can improve parking management and reduce the reliance on manual monitoring. And for the environment, reducing unnecessary driving around parking areas can help reduce fuel consumption and emissions. Our case study has also identified potential reductions in hardware costs and annual operating expenses compared with the conventional system. So, although parking may seem like a small problem, solving it can create many benefits for individuals, the university, and as well as the environment. So, what actually makes our proposed system different from conventional parking systems? A conventional system depends more heavily on manual monitoring. Our system uses IoT sensors and AI cameras. A conventional system may use the same update frequency across all different parking zones, while our system uses a zone based update frequency. A conventional system can create higher server and bandwidth usage, while our system uses cache information and adaptive updates. And conventional systems have a higher risk of users receiving outdated information, while our system will automatically remove outdated data and replace it with new information. This brings us to a bigger question. Why does this idea matter? Parking may seem like a small problem, but when hundreds of students and staff experience the same problem every day, the effects accumulate. More vehicles searching for spaces means more congestion. More unnecessary driving means more fuel consumption. And inefficient systems can require more energy and resources to operate. Our solution addresses this through three main SDG connections. The first is SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. Although our project is designed for a university campus rather than an entire city, the same idea applies, using smarter infrastructure to make movement and resource use more efficient. The second is SDG 13, Climate Action. By reducing unnecessary vehicle movement and improving energy efficiency, our system has the potential to contribute to lower emissions overall. And the third is SDG 9, Industry, Innovation, and Infrastructure. Our solution uses IoT sensors, AI powered cameras, and digital infrastructure to create a more intelligent parking system. So, when we look at QIU smart parking from a bigger perspective, we are not simply solving a parking problem. We are also exploring how this technology can help create a smarter and more sustainable campus. So, lastly, I want you to imagine QIU in the future. You arrive on campus, and instead of driving around looking for parking, you open your phone. You immediately see which parking areas have available spaces. You choose one, you drive there, you park, and you walk into class on time. No unnecessary searching, no unnecessary driving around, less stress, and a smoother experience overall. That is the future we are proposing with QIU Smart Parking because parking should not be a guessing game. Your time should be spent learning, working, and enjoying university, not looking for parking spaces. So that is all for me today. Thank you so much for listening.